CBS and Paramount are learning the hard way that their news organization is filled with absolute cretins ready to destroy them in a heartbeat. 60 Minutes defiant to the bitter end, even as they're costing their company billions of dollars for alleged election interference. But it isn't slowing down CBS and Paramount as they want to merge with Skydance, and that means they're ready to dance with Orange Man Bad. Mediation begins this week. Billions of dollars on the line, and we'll explain everything, including perhaps a secret cabal, right now.
But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Pro Show. We are here to give you the news you need, and today, boy, oh boy, is it a big week indeed. Ever and ever, it is looking like the legacy media is on their heels, but never quite as much as now, because we are finding out that 60 Minutes, that CBS News, CBS, they were never supposed to lose. No, it was impossible. Pro, you're talking conspiracies for months after months after months, and yet here we are, Vash. It is mediation week, ladies and gentlemen. The Trump attorneys and CBS/Paramount are going to be getting together, and they're going to be deciding how much money, apparently, that the company is going to be paying President Trump for election interference. It is a huge week for legacy media. Vash, you have found a video that really speaks to just what kind of a cabal is out there with the legacy media. I want to put that up on the screen first, and then we're going to dive into the latest from 60 Minutes. Folks, this is a video that you can't miss. We're going to be going deep into how deep this goes. Get ready for it. Vash, let's play the video. Here it is, folks. Take a look at just how in synchronicity the legacy media is.
We begin tonight with the escalation in the president's crackdown on illegal immigration.
Today's dramatic escalation in the Trump administration's conflict with judges.
The Trump administration signaling a major escalation in its deportation efforts.
Today, an escalation in the Trump administration's battle with the judiciary.
Tensions between local and federal authorities over President Trump's immigration crackdown escalated today.
We begin this hour with a major escalation of the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration.
We begin with what appears to be a major escalation in the Trump administration's deportation efforts.
And what is a major escalation in the battle here in D.C. over immigration and deportation.
This feels like an insane and reckless escalation from the Trump administration.
Now, Vash, we don't know exactly who made this, but we are deeply in gratitude to them. Vash, it looks to me like the legacy media, they might work for different companies, but they're all in cahoots. What do you think?
I mean, this has been the case for a while. It seems like every single media network out there, media program, they all go in lockstep with the same narrative. What you just saw right there was obviously after the kind of historic, charging and arrest of a judge who the Trump administration felt that they assisted an undocumented migrant in getting I believe it was, if I remember the case correctly, basically obstruction of justice, essentially in that case. So what does the media do? They frame it in a particular way. Escalation, you heard right there. That was the key phrase that was used there. Obviously, we've been hearing them talk about a constitutional conflict and all of this stuff. They all run in lockstep with each other. They all support each other, and it is really alarming.
Now, that said, Vash, we've got 60 Minutes we need to talk about, because 60 Minutes, they're sort of the lead for all this. We're going to make all this tie together, ladies and gentlemen. I promise. Hang with us. But 60 Minutes, they got in big trouble because they edited a Kamala Harris interview. Some people believe they should be allowed to do that. Some people believe they should not. There's no question, though, that they edited the interview in order to make her look better and to influence the election. There's no question about that. The issue is what happens to them when they do that, because they used government airwaves given to them so that they can be inside every single home in America. They're not a cable channel. There are particular specifics that they have to adhere to, certain parameters they have to adhere to in order to maintain their network status. And there's the allegation they did not do that. They're under lawsuit from President Trump. And the question has been, well, How in the world can he win? Well, he's going to win, it looks like now, just like he did against Disney, just like he did against others. But it looks like he's going to win because they've gone to mediation this week. So you could say, Vash, well, surely 60 Minutes ahead of what could be billions of dollars in agreement for mediation. Surely they pulled back, after Bill Owens, the lead executive over there, exited this past week. Surely they pulled back. Vash, think again, and we'll explain what this means in just a minute. Here is from 60 Minutes last night. Defiant to the end.
In tonight's Last Minute, a note on Bill Owens, who until this past week was executive producer of 60 Minutes. He was our boss. Bill was with CBS News nearly 40 years, 26 years at 60 Minutes. He covered the world, covered combat, the White House. His was a quest to open minds, not close them. If you've ever worked hard for a boss because you admired him, then you understand what we've enjoyed here. Bill resigned Tuesday. It was hard on him and hard on us, but he did it for us and you.
By the way, we believe that Bill Owens was forced out and that the resignation happened just in time. Can't prove that. But logic at this point would dictate that that's what was happening. So they can paint this however they want to. Bill Owens' days were numbered, and he decided he was going to do it his way. He was going to do it his way, right? As the Frank Sinatra song goes.
Stories we pursued for 57 years are often controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration.
And it always leans in a very specific direction. And when I say lean, I mean it jumps off a cliff and goes skydiving straight to the bottom of as far left as you can go.
Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way. But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger.
And this is what's amazing, folks. They're literally going to come out and admit what's going on, and they're sabotaging it on air. They're sabotaging it. And you know what? All credit goes to Paramount and to Sherry Redstone, who's the head of this thing, because the idea that they're allowing this to happen, these people are nuts, and it's on display for the whole world to see.
The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways. None of our stories has been blocked, but Bill felt he lost the independence that honest journalism requires.
So not a single story was blocked, Vash. Nothing happened, not a single thing, except that they had to show what they were going to be reporting on to the higher-ups. The higher-ups didn't do anything about it. The higher-ups probably believed in what they were saying, but that's what they're using as the excuse. This is why Bill Owens had to leave. He just had to exit because somebody started actually looking and saying, what is this you're covering? So that was the line that could not be crossed. What they don't want to say is, oh, wait, he had crossed the line already with leadership, and he was going away no matter what. By the way, folks, I want to show this to you. Sorry for this being a little bit of a complicated video today, but it's all going to make sense, I promise. Continue hanging with us. There is so much to cover here and explain, but you're all going to walk away with a PhD level of understanding in what's going on at CBS, Skydance, and more. This is out of NPR. Again, it'll make sense. David Folkenflik and Scott Simon are the authors here. It says, behind 60 Minutes executive producer's departure, Trump's lawsuit against CBS. Now, I'm not going to necessarily read this. I just want you all to see there's a transcript here of an interview, an exclusive interview that was given to NPR from sources inside CBS News to let NPR know what allegedly happened with Bill Owens and what he said and all of that. NPR gets the exclusive. Can't imagine why. Well, we'll explain in a minute why. Bottom line here, though, Vash, as we get ready to dive into a story from the New York Post that explains all of this, to lay this out on the table for everybody, Skydance wants to buy Paramount. Paramount is a great company. There's one part of Paramount that seems to absolutely, though, be a parasite and is destroying the company and is destroying every single effort that they make to merge. That is CBS News. CBS News apparently did some pretty bad things. Now they're facing lawsuits and the FCC is blocking a merger essentially based on CBS News. And as the company is now demanding CBS News adjust themselves, stop being so freaking partisan, cut out the nonsense, the lies, and all of this, CBS News is going full-blown, we'll blow this thing up even more. They won't stop. I don't know what the answer is here, except just make them go dark, which is, by the way, what they did with Stephen Colbert this past week, where he didn't have a show. At the same time, Bill Owens was leaving their crazy comic at late night. Stephen Colbert was taken off air for a week with no explanation. Vash, make it make sense. Walk us through a little bit of what you expect this week.
Well, yeah, I mean, if Paramount wants to ensure that this merger actually goes through, they have to show to the FCC that CBS is willing to give unbiased coverage going forward. And obviously they're going to be entering in mediation this week in order to deal with that issue. Or at least a part of it with the 60 Minutes interview, obviously. But they have to show going forward that this is all going to change in the long term. And to have a 60 Minute segment like this come out and basically blow that whole narrative out the window, at least when it comes to CBS News, is well, it kind of shows you where CBS News falls into this and where it might not align with Paramount, as actually mentioned by by that clip there. But the whole thing with this and what we kind of should expect to see out of Paramount are executives coming down to CBS News and saying, hey, look, listen, we got to quiet the noise, as we've heard from some executives of media actually say. We have to show outwardly that we're not going to be partisan in the way that we have been previously. And however you do that, I don't know if it's you run reruns. I don't know if it's, you have executives at CBS News tracking and covering everything that they record. I'm not quite sure, but this has to change, or else I don't see the Trump administration through the FCC providing what they require, as in Paramount and Skydance, to actually merge.
Right. So the FCC, and this is from a Deadline article from last week, all of this is happening fast, but the FCC is requiring Paramount to, in order for this merger to go through, they've got to cut the DEI stuff, which is illegal, right? And companies just decided for the last 4 years they could do that, even though it's illegal. But you got to cut the DEI stuff. Why is it illegal, folks? For an explanation, well, because you're hiring people on quotas based on things they were born with that they can't change. That is illegal, okay? So that's got to go. And then the FCC is saying, you got to cut out the crazy partisan news stuff. Like, you got to tell the truth. Just be unbiased in the news. Now, the reason that CBS News seems to be fighting them so strongly, Vash, is because I believe that the folks at CBS News, they're not actually aligned with CBS and with Paramount. They're aligned with whatever this left-leaning network of news outlets is. And we're talking about NPR, we're talking about PBS, we're talking about ABC News, CBS News, NBC News, CNN, MSNBC. It's like the New York Times. It's this group of people that they live in this bubble and they're interconnected to such a degree. And that's what they're fighting for, not the survival of CBS and Paramount. They're not fighting for the merger to Skydance. Instead, they're fighting for the ability for crazy partisan journalists to continue doing what they're doing. And they know that this is the moment. This is their chance to try to stop what's coming. And that what's coming is that companies like ABC and companies like NBC, they're going to face the same thing. You can't keep holding onto your network license if you're going to essentially be a hyper-partisan, rabid arm of the DNC. And so this is the battle they're willing to do. They're willing to lose their jobs. New York Post has this from Charles Gasparino. It says, high stakes Paramount, Trump mediation scheduled as President's 60 Minutes lawsuit looms. So, we've been covering this, and now the rest of the media is getting involved in covering it because it's going to happen, just like the Florida deal. Remember last year or the year before when we said over and over, Disney is going to lose this lawsuit in Florida. This parental rights and education, they're going to lose it. It's going to cost them $1 trillion. Andrew of Legal Minds had it right. Valiant Renegade had it right. We had it right. Folks, we've been on this again telling you the same thing. And guess what? Now the media is on it because mediation is here. And why is mediation here? Because they're going to mediate out a settlement. I think CBS might want to meditate on that for a while. Paramount and representatives of President Trump are scheduled to meet this Wednesday, before a mediator who will determine the fate of Trump's $20 billion lawsuit against CBS, the Post has learned. It all comes as Paramount, whose CBS network has been accused of deceptively editing a 60 Minutes interview with Kamala Harris to tilt the 2024 election in her favor, is in the middle of closing its $8 billion merger with independent studio Skydance. In other words, the lawsuit has a value greater than the entire company and the merger. The transaction also needs approval from Trump's Federal Communications Commission. Bringing an end to the lawsuit is seen as a way to expedite the approval process though it remains unclear how the mediator will rule. A spokesman for Paramount declined to comment but would not deny Wednesday's mediation. A lawyer for Trump didn't respond to a request for comment. Sherry Redstone, the controlling shareholder of Paramount, has let it be known she wants to settle. And that's all that matters, folks. Sherry's in charge. And they're furious at her. They're angry at her. But, she doesn't want the entire company to go down in smoke because of a joke of news organizations. And these news organizations think that because they're the legacy media, that they can still do this, that they can still battle, that they can still go out on their own network and trash their own execs and the decisions that were made. It's insanity. It's like going to somebody else's house and throwing feces on the wall. No, you can't do that. And so, apparently 60 Minutes thinks they can. Vash, I think what's really happening here also is the folks at CBS News are in so deep at this point. They have disenfranchised themselves and made themselves villainous to the leadership at CBS to such a degree that when this merger happens, if it can, I think the people at CBS News know they're gone. Like, this is not going to be allowed. You tried to sabotage this merger, this multi-billion-dollar merger, and you're the news organization, you're the news division, you're not some big theatrical part of what we do, you're not handling theme park distribution rights, you're the news division, and you sabotaged us. That's not going to go over well with the new leadership. Vash, what say you?
Oh, that's not going to go over well at all. And the thing about it is CBS News is obviously looking out for itself. It's looking out for the larger media apparatus. But at the same time, they're discounting the jobs that could be at stake if this merger does not go through. Paramount's done for if this merger doesn't happen.
They'll become a discount buy.
Well, yes,
buy for another company.
But there's
less money.
True, but if that were to happen, right? We know that pretty much all the executive leadership and everything that leads Paramount and its multiple divisions is pretty much done for. Anybody who buys Paramount is going to want to pretty much axe everything that they have, take the IP, strip them, and use the parts that they have actually acquired. So CBS News is not necessarily thinking about that. Which, I mean, in the interest of news journalism, you might think, well, that's inconsequential. Yeah, sure, but they obviously have a different agenda actually happening. I want to go ahead and put this up on the screen real fast because I thought this was very, very, very interesting. We don't have time to go through the video right now, but this was from the White House Correspondents' Dinner. This here that you're seeing right now is Alex Thompson. He's over at Axios. He was actually receiving an award at this point and told the press something very, very interesting. He said, President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. The big thing there that he was telling the media that was in the audience was we screwed up by how we covered this particular story, and that that everybody trusts us less because of how we actually went about covering that story. The fact remains is that CBS News has burned its reputation with this whole thing. They know they're in the wrong, and just because you're trying to, let's say, you have an agenda that is pro media, this is all a house of cards that is rapidly falling.
Well, I think this is whitewashing what happened with the White House over the last 4 years. The media is attempting to find the best answer they can, and the best answer they can find is, we were just so innocent. We were just so naive. We didn't question hard enough. We were tricked too. And the correct response to that is, no, you knew. You all knew. And you chose like this because so long as you did what the Biden administration wanted you to do, you didn't face a situation like you face now, which is that you're being held to the appropriate standard by the federal government to say, no, if you're going to be on the network airwaves, you're going to have unbiased news reporting. They didn't want that. So they wanted 4 more years. So what did they do? They did everything they could to protect Biden. And then as soon as it became apparent in that debate that Biden did not have the cognitive abilities to lead the nation, they flipped to what they already knew and threw him over the bus, right into the waters, and went to Kamala as fast as they could. Now, folks, I'm going to tell you, they're all in it together. About 15 minutes ago, I brought up the Stephen Colbert thing and said we'd come back to it. Well, folks, we keep promises here, and here's the promise made fulfilled. From the New York Times, Stephen Colbert defends PBS and NPR against Trump's defunding plan. I just want you to see this. Colbert's a CBS guy. He's not CBS News, but he's the late night show on CBS. Colbert said both public media entities are already operating on a shoestring budget. Daniel Tiger can't afford to wear pants. This was by Trish Bendix, April 17th. So about 11 days ago, Stephen Colbert was out there defending, and we're not going to play it because CBS will get us on that one. But CBS, had Stephen Colbert out there defending the NPR and PBS public funding, which at this point, you can have your own opinion about whether or not they need it, but he's out there defending them. His job is to make jokes, but instead he's using late night to do that. The following week, and during the same week that Bill Owens leaves from 60 Minutes, Stephen Colbert is pulled off the air. He's back this week. How is he going to respond to this? I don't know. But the reason I want to bring this up is who got the exclusive on what was happening at CBS with 60 Minutes? NPR. This is NPR, folks, where it says behind 60 Minutes executive producer's departure, Trump's lawsuit against CBS. They got the exclusive. They got the exclusive transcript on exactly what, this was planned out. Where, in my opinion, Bill Owens stages a let me get out of here, let me get out of Dodge before they end me in Dodge. We'll create this narrative. We're going to send it over to NPR. NPR will use it. And 2 weeks ago, Stephen Colbert was defending NPR and PBS and all of that. All of these people are in it. They're all in it together, and they are not in line with the economic fundamentals of the company. Right? They don't care. CNN and MSNBC are essentially at this point cannot fund themselves. If you look at the advertising revenue, they can't do it. They have collapsed to such a degree that mid-sized YouTube channels get more viewership than CNN and MSNBC in the demo. Seriously. So they don't care. They are trying to get legacy money to come in there and feed these engines that they can't operate any longer independently. And then these people who work for them, they don't care that they've become essentially insolvent. What they care about is we're going to stick together, we're going to clean together, and we're going to achieve this political goal that we're all involved in. And if this doesn't work, if MSNBC and CNN and CBS News, if all of these things are burned to the ground, if they're done, if they're over, fine. Because the DNC is going to give us another lifeboat somewhere. We'll go somewhere else. We'll make a new channel. We'll make it they don't care, Vash. And that's what's amazing about all this. Colbert being off air, I think there's something bigger to it. And I would not be surprised if Colbert is also pulled off soon. They cannot keep having. And it wouldn't surprise me if an exec has already said to Colbert, you're making no jokes about this. We're done with this. Because they can't have more of this from 60 Minutes where they come out and slime their own company, and reframe it so that they're the martyrs. Mm-hmm. When in fact, they're the ones costing this company potentially more billions of dollars than the whole thing's worth.
Yeah, the through line here is that you have multiple people at multiple different levels, whether it be front-facing personalities like Stephen Colbert or the CBS News at large. You have multiple people at multiple levels having a very myopic view of what they of the agenda that they are trying to achieve and what they're trying to espouse and so forth. And it's not at all about the business. It's not at all about the future of Paramount or everybody, above and below them. It's all about, like you said, how can we get as much out of where we're at as possible. And that's a very unfortunate thing because we've seen the decline of Paramount for years now. In other instances in which in which you've had myopic creatives and so forth take certain franchises and do with them what they will, and unfortunately that's caused a decline. Now we're seeing CBS News completely betray not just news and media in general, but also to the American people and how they cut up and edited that Kamala Harris interview right there and really tried to shape the election in some people's inside favor. It's sad. It's disheartening. It's not at all great. But I think Sherry Redstone is doing the right thing. I think Paramount is wanting to get this settled as quickly as possible. And I don't know if there's a future for CBS News after this, because I think we were having this conversation before that when Skydance actually ends up acquiring Paramount, I think CBS News is done for. Just like maybe CNBC and MSNBC.
Vash, it was about 20 days ago that we said they had 90 days to clean this up. We exclusively looked at the contract and we said, they've got 90 days. Well, that was 20 days ago. So they got about 70 left. They got to fix this. Comeuppance week is here, ladies and gentlemen. And the legacy media types, they have caused their own industry to go extinct. Now they're just trying to carve out whatever chunks of meat they can from the dead dinosaurs that they've created that are their own businesses. They are the worst of the worst. And they're trying to find some new host that will take them on. But good luck with that, because they are just awful in every possible way. And their only allegiance is to their partisan cause. But they don't want to work for partisans because that would give away who they actually are. They're not journalists. Billions of dollars on the way to Orange Man Bad. And it makes me sad to see the legacy media going down in flames. But folks, we told you, we watched them. They are insane. And that is what is happening this week. And yet again, we'll be back to say on this channel, I think very soon, told you, saw it coming, and we told you, and you knew about it, and you were ahead of everybody else. You were ahead of the culture curve because you were here with us. All right, folks, that is the video for the day. Vash, you must be like a global traveler. Every time I have you on the channel, you've got a new backdrop. So I don't know where you are this time, Vash, but you're everywhere. You're everywhere. Vash, tell the folks out there about your show tomorrow. What do you got coming up?
Well, we have 2:30 live after the Pro Show at 3 p.m. Eastern right there. If you're watching the Pro Show, just go ahead and stick around, and you'll be redirected right to it. We're going to be talking about Epic Universe, maybe some developments, recent developments, actually, very recent, out of Tokyo, and Universal Fan Fest nights. It's going to be a lot of fun. And tonight, folks, if you're watching this video on Monday, that is, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are going to have a 25K celebration on That Park Place. Now, if you have already, if you're just catching up with this, maybe the day after or so forth, the replay should be up for just a little while. So definitely join on the fun right there. It's going to be a great show. We're going to have a lot of guests on. It's going to be a lot of fun. So please check us out wherever, the news should be fun.
That's right, folks. Congratulations to the crew at TPP, That Park Place, on 25,000 subscribers. It's one heck of a milestone, and just about 1 year into it, you guys are growing like crazy. Folks, get over there and subscribe to That Park Place as soon as you can. And also, if we have not yet earned your subscription here, well, we hope that this Tour de Force video was just the sort of thing to get you to click. And when you do, of course, you stick it to those algorithms. All right, folks, on the way out the door, click the like button, share, subscribe, and drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on this, and let us know how we did. This is a big conversation. Honestly, we could do this in 3 videos and take each part of this, but we wanted to get it out because we're afraid that news is going to break so quickly that if we broke it into 3 parts, that those 3 videos over the next few days would actually become ancient news, because something could happen. The mediator could come out today and say, well, they've already agreed. So we had to get this out as fast as we could. We hope, folks, that we have educatified you, and we'll see how this goes down. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Oh.
What are you doing?
Well, you see, I wanted to get some inside scoops on Disney and their different corporations, if you know what I mean. So I figured by looking into this fistbowl and sucking it randomly with my own energy that I pay for, you paid for, I could do the whole experience where you can be a master and spy on your targets.
You're an idiot. If you want to get the inside scoop on Disney or even other media organizations, you should check out thatparkplace.com and subscribe to WDW Pro's YouTube channel. That'd be way easier, more accurate, and less dumb.
Are you saying I won't get accurate information this way?
No, you can't.
Who'd have think?